Week 10 recap and also looking at possible playoffs. Group A, Houston, Washington, and Buffalo are third, but Buffalo is dropping. They've lost 3 straight. You take a look. LA had a chance to go all the way and get a 5-4-1 record and a 1-game lead over everybody, but because they blew that game to the 2015 Denver Broncos, they're 4-5-1. Look at that. They are 4-5-1, and they are tied with the 61 Oilers now, the 86 Denver Broncos, who are now getting red hot. The 86 Denver Broncos, they started off very poorly with 3 losses. They were 0-3-1, and in their last 6, they are 4-2, beating the 89 49ers, 1980 Oakland. They lost a little bit to Jacksonville. They beat Dallas in 92. They lost by 12 to the St. Louis Rams, and they beat the Steelers by 10 of 08. They have the record. They have the schedule. They got New England. They got Dallas. That'll be a big one. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New England, and Baltimore. They're going to be there. And if you're LA, you got 89 San Francisco. You got your Oakland in that derby, Jacksonville, Dallas, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh. All really tough games. Man, you needed that Denver win. You need a very, very schedule. Again, they lose against teams like LA Rams. They lose against the 63 Chicago Bears. They lose against the 2012 Baltimore Ravens. So LA not helping themselves. I'm not saying they're out of it. Detroit, on the other hand, is St. Louis. Pittsburgh, they have New England, Dallas. The Steelers have 78 in Philadelphia. So Detroit, their victories have come. They beat the 85 Bears in an upset. They beat the 80 Oakland, and they beat 99 Jacksonville. But they got killed by Dallas. They got killed by Denver of 2015. They got killed by 89 San Francisco. They got beat by Baltimore of 2012 and 80 Philadelphia, 37-24. That's Group A. Group B, Indianapolis is now 7-3. Chicago of 85 is 6-4. But the rest of the teams, look at that, they are down. Jacksonville, Houston of 1979, Oakland. I mean, there's a lot of those teams are still in it. You know, I thought about making a rule that you have to have a winning record to get into the playoffs, but then no, that would change everything. And we don't want to do that. So it's just who you are right here, just where you are. In Jacksonville and Houston right now have a 1-game lead at least over everybody else. Group C. Now you see people like this: Arizona, San Diego, Dallas, Denver. Denver is the first sub-500 team, and they're 8th, and that's 1977. They're a good football team. They just tied Green Bay in 1966. They beat San Diego. I think it's more their schedule than anything. The teams they beat, 62 Dallas, but they beat 2010 Green Bay and tied 98 Denver. Group D. The Chicago Bears, the 78 Steelers are now 6-3-1. New York 6-3-1. The Washington Redskins at 5-4-1. So they're big. New York is 4-3-3, but Washington's got the wins. And they also, they got the wins. I don't know if 2011, no, they don't play them. Because of the scheduling, you just randomly play teams. Group B. New Orleans, Atlanta, Minnesota, and look at this logjam. Cleveland, Pittsburgh in 1995. They're an underrated team. If the Steelers in 95 make the playoffs, that's huge. If they can make the 4th place playoffs, they could be a team to sneak in. But look at New England, the Rams, Green Bay in 96. Look at this, Brett Favre, Green Bay. You got 8 teams there, really within a half game. Group F. Green Bay, Minnesota in 1998, San Francisco, Carolina's 4-2-4. And look at 94 San Francisco. This is the thing, 94 San Francisco is behind Carolina just by a little bit. So when you take a look, they play 0-3 Carolina, but 94 San Francisco doesn't do it. So 68 Baltimore, that's going to be a huge game in week number 12. They can get a win against Kansas City, maybe Green Bay, maybe 0-3 Carolina. But, you know, they need 10 wins. They can't lose many more. Group G. The Houston Oilers are 8-2. Look at how Houston is beaten. They lost to New York and New England, but then they beat New England, they beat New York, they beat New England again, they beat New Orleans, they beat LA Rams, they beat Detroit. So they haven't had the most toughest schedule in the world, but they've done their job. St. Louis have won their last 3. They beat Washington, a hot Denver team, and an okay Chicago team. They did lose to Pittsburgh and San Francisco by a point, and Green Bay in 96 by 10. But they beat New York Giants 34-31. They beat 98 Minnesota 30-16. They're 6-3-1 and looking, they would love to go to another championship game. They're the defending champions. Group H, talk about teams. Talk about 1, 2, and 3 getting sewed up. 2015 Denver, hard-nosed team, good running football team, good defense. Miami, hard-nosed team, good running football team, good defense. Baltimore, hard-nosed team, good running football team, good defense. There you go, 1, 2, and 3 right there for you. They're interchangeable. They might flip-flop, who knows. Denver winning today, they almost went 7-2-1. They almost tied Miami. Miami is looking good. Now, Dallas and San Diego, San Diego has 2 ties. Dallas has all 5 wins. So that's why they're ahead. So you take a look at other teams, and they're fading. They're fading. Buffalo is a half game back. So it's going to be messy there and who goes where. Group I, Atlanta, 6-2-2. Look at Green Bay, Oakland, and Cincinnati in 1981. 2005 Pittsburgh's got to pick it up. 77 Dallas, and right now 98 Denver's looking in. They need a couple wins. They got to hope that those teams ahead of them lose, or else the 98 Denver Broncos will not get a chance in the postseason. Group J, the 58 Baltimore Colts, good. 81 and 84 San Francisco, doing very good in this conference, 2-3. You got Chicago, Minnesota, tough one, and 86 Cleveland. They're a half game back. They're a half game back with 6 to go. So Cleveland, they're the team we're looking at. They've lost 4 in a row. Remember, they were 4-2, and now they're 4-6. They lost 4 in a row, and they haven't looked very good doing it. They got Baltimore, Oakland, Miami of 84. Like, that's one team we haven't really heard of is Miami of 1984. Look at this. We'll see Miami of 84. Bam, right here. Oh, we can't do it anymore. We used to be able to click on that team. Quickly, the league leaders, your yards. You have 2 over 3,000. Donovan McNabb and Rich Gannon. Your highest rated is going to be Joe Montana and Peyton Manning. Brady, then Brady. That's incredible. Your worst, Otto Graham, Vinny Ferragamo, Dawson Kilmer. McMahon is really hurting the Bears. He's just having a terrible time. Rushing yards, you have 4 over 1,000. Brown, Motley, Smith, and Taylor. The number of touchdowns, you got Taylor for Green Bay, and I'm not saying that name for Baltimore. I'm trying to avoid that. But fumble fingers, Eric Pegram for 95, Pittsburgh, and Sammy Winder for Denver. Receiving, Marquise Colston, 79. He leads the yardage. You got many over 1,000. I believe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 over 1,000 yards. Right now, touchdown leader is Ernest Givens and Reggie Wayne. And, of course, the longest touchdowns, Harold Carmichael. I would fall out of my seat if I ever saw that. Total offense is Emmitt Smith still by 164 yards. 164, yep. And touchdowns, Wayne and Givens total with 12. Defense, Brooks Siemianitsky. Gerald Hayes is making himself up again. Alzado had no sacks against the Broncos, and Bubba Smith, the defensive lineman, has also 13. He tied it. Davis from Oakland gets the interceptions. He has 6. A lot of people, 11, tied for getting 3 fumbles. And nobody yet has had 2 touchdowns on defense. You know, we thought possibly with that interception return for a touchdown in that second game, we thought that that could have been a possibility. Kicking-wise, the most attempts is Stover. We have still 2 people. Golden Hauschka, who's going to miss? Hauschka's kicking a heck of a lot more. The longest is still Jason Elam. And Bryant, the 112 points. So when you take a look at percentage, Everybody's hit all their extra points and their field goals, both Gold and Hauschka, and that is very big. When it comes to punters, the number is Clark for the Rams. Full Hedge is second. The average punt is Ruin and Andy Lee. The longest punt now is Koch from Baltimore, 69 yards. The most have been blocked has been Lee and Goodburn, and look at that, a 7-3 team gets 4 punts blocked, and the most inside the 20 is still Full Hedge at 49. He's a great punter. Kicking the yardage is Brown for Philadelphia. The average is still Preston Pearson, who's unbelievable. The longest one, 103 by Desmond Howard, and number of touchdowns is Hardman, and then you got Brown, Horn, Adderley, McNeil, and Pearson at 3. Punt returns, the biggest average is Mel Gray. He's unbelievable, isn't he? And the number of touchdowns, Martin, Garden, and Gray all have 3. When it comes to team stats, Philadelphia, look at this. Philadelphia, nope. We are going to, let's go a weird one. Third down conversion percentage. Carolina's the best. The worst is Philadelphia 1960, then the Steelers, and the Rams and Carolina, then Houston. But there we go, that's unique. Total offense, the best rushers are Miami by 134 yards. The best passing team is the Philadelphia Eagles, and Oakland, then the New York Giants. Philadelphia, unbelievable. Most yards, Carolina, then Philadelphia. Carolina's #1 offense. That's incredible. They had a game in Week 9 we broadcasted. Touchdowns, New England of 07 with 33 of them, and total points, Minnesota of 1998 with 287. The defense, it's going to be the rushing defense. It's going to be Baltimore, San Francisco, a 94. Yeah, they're a good rushing defense. And the Bears, Tampa Bay, and Houston Oilers of 93. The best passing defense, the Titans, the Vikings, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Miami. And the total yards, it's Minnesota, Chicago, Miami, Minnesota again is 76. And Houston right there. Cleveland is up there. Least amount of points is Miami at 124, and they got to give up 22 points. Miami just right there. In Chicago, just for Chicago to tie. Number of sacks is Baltimore at 2,000. Interceptions is Buffalo of 64 with 15, and the number of fumble recoveries, the Rams is 79, and Cleveland of 86. All right, as we go to week number 11, we look at some of the games going on. 76 Minnesota and Buffalo, you're starting to get playoff implications. I think the Houston Derby will do. We might do that because they're not the same team. It's the Texans versus the Oilers. The franchises are different. The 86 New York Giants against Cleveland, they want to go 7-3-1. Cincinnati and Oakland, the loser's probably done. The 85 Bears need a win. San Diego and Arizona, look at that. That's going to be high scoring galore, man. High scoring galore. Look at Baltimore and Minnesota. I think I'm actually going to have that game. I was thinking of the 8-2 and the 8-2, but then when you take a look at that first thing, it's Baltimore and Minnesota. You're talking about championship contenders. Minnesota was a Final Four team. They want to get back to that Final Four. And if they beat the 68 Colts, they're in good position. 77 Denver wants to beat Kansas City. Kansas City is 5-5. They're doing a lot better. The Steelers play their derby, and the 78 versus 95, the loser's going to hurt. The 05 Steelers need a win. 63 Chicago against New England, that'll be tough. The Minnesota Vikings of 69 against 76 Oakland. That'll be a really good one. And we take a look, there are a lot of really good matchups in this one. Miami is now 4-6. I got to take a look at Miami, and we will before the end. St. Louis and Detroit. Miami could be winning and coming back. We got to see where they are in the division. The 75 Steelers and the 61 Houston Oilers. That might be for a playoff position. You take a look down, Denver and Indianapolis. Oh, Manning against Manning. Yeah, how about that? Baltimore against Oakland is 67. Dallas and San Diego, both 500. Miami and New Orleans. I think that's going to be a great football game. Denver and Cincinnati. That'll be a very good one. A lot of great ones this week. And that's going to be it. That's week 11. So we're just going to see later on which ones we do. And that's it for us in week 11. Tomorrow, 2 games from week 11.